Good afternoon. I forgot to turn on my Adobe Audition. I was looking at OBS going, why are the faders not, or the fucking meters not moving? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. It's, what are we at? May the 6th, I think? I think that's the day of the week. 2021. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Welcome back after, I think our... other than Christmas, our maybe second or third ever skipped week of Technical Alpha, where we decided to just chill for the day, which really just resulted in me standing up for an exorbitant amount of time, as I had been for the last couple weeks, and just relaxing a bit. But we've got another podcast for you this week, and thankfully last week wasn't much of a news week, but this week, oh baby! I actually had a hard time squeezing everything that's happened here, even in the last few days, into this list. At least for game stuff, there was a lot going on. It was the struggle was trying to come up with just condensing it into something that could make the podcast list. But here we are, and of course, before we have to start, wait. Why is my webcam not working? Well, that's new. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense! Okay, hold on. One second. This is gonna get awkward for a second. Maybe this? No, it's not even in... Wait, what? Literally open up OBS, it's on my regular streaming profile, my webcam's there, I set all the settings, switched over to Technical Alpha, and now not only does it not work on Technical Alpha's thing, it's not working on mine. So it just disappeared. One moment while I unplug and Tell us about your week while I go unplug and replug my, weeks. It's a plural. While I go and unplug and replug in my, my webcam.
It's just been more weeks. That's pretty much it. Not too much to update. Just been streaming a ton, chilling. It's been pretty much the show.
Great. Well,
that's it.
Perfect. As it turns out, even after unplugging and replugging the webcam, OBS has decided that my webcam just doesn't exist.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to exist this week. It's going to be a picture of me.
Well, you're going to put a picture of me too. I'm not going to be the only one.
You don't want to be the only one on camera? Oh, you want to watch porn on the side? Is that what you're saying? All right.
That's what I'm going to do.
All right, here, you can join me then. There you go. You had a lot less hair in this picture, and I had a lot more.
There we go. Beautiful. Look at
that. Okay, so it's an all-cartoon Technical Alpha this week, ladies and gentlemen.
VTube edition.
The not moving VTuber edition. All we need is a Sharpie, a hot tub, and an inflatable banana. We're off to the races. But yeah, it's no Technical Alpha podcast. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, let's just, I mean, my week is just, well, my last 2 weeks has been, working around my fucked up legs and shit, where I essentially just, it feels like Chinese torture, Jeff. It feels like some weird form of Chinese torture, where you're allowed to lay down, and you're allowed to stand, but you're never allowed to sit. Now, I'm sitting right now, but I can tell you that I am not comfortable and will not be for the entire length of this podcast. And so I've been basically standing to stream unless I absolutely have to sit. I sat for Pokemon Snap. That fucked me up, but I can't just stop working. So I can't really stand and play it at the same time either. So I've been mostly standing and putting Kermit on the top of my chair. He is now the streamer, filling in for me on the webcam. But I've got my standing desk on the way. Motorized standing desk is on the way, along with all the fixings, including the Elgato one, Elgato multi-mount and stuff that I'll use for the microphone, because I can't use my current stand because it needs to go up and down with the desk. And so everything has to be mounted to the desk, and so, you know, monitor arms and all this other shit.
I think I might actually have a mount here you could have.
Well, too late now. It's on the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've got that stuff coming. So, that will help. Hopefully, until I can get into the doctors, I'm basically going to be majority standing and laying down, which is kind of awkward because all it means is that I'm either awake or if I lay down, if I'm on the couch for watching something, I just feel like I constantly have to sleep because I'm just never actually in a seated position. I'm just constantly laying down. So like it's the weirdest feeling. I either have all the energy in the world, which is something I noticed when streaming and standing, is I'm like way more fucking like active, brain's going. But then when I lay down, it's all over. Like today, I laid down, picked up M from work, came back. I was trying to do some work from the couch on the laptop, and gone. 3-hour nap later.
Poof.
Woke up and went, wait a minute, I have to still do some work. So anyway, that's been my my last couple weeks. Finished Pokemon Snap. Review is up, just put up today. And then tomorrow we start Resident Evil Village. As my May month marathon continues, because we'll have Pokemon Snap, Resident Evil Village this week, then I've got Subnautica Below Zero at the end of next week. It's like literally everything's 7 days apart, and then I think the only one that's a little more than 7 days apart is Biomutant, which comes out at the end of the month. So we've got lots coming up there, and thank God I'm going to have a standing desk, because I literally cannot sit for any longer than I need to, which means we're moving on to games! Mr. Black, games news. Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. That's a video game. And Sony did a state of play not long ago. I think it was just, last week? That was basically one game. And it was Ratchet and Clank. They did an entire state of play for Ratchet and Clank. They did briefly show off Subnautica, I believe, in that, coincidentally. And then one other game that I cannot think of off the top of my head. But those were like mentions, and then they went right into a really lengthy Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart gameplay session. So we got to see some proper gameplay for it. It looked great. Obviously we had seen some trailers in the past that were gameplay, but they were a little bit more trailery than you would see. This was a little closer to actual gameplay. Visually, of course, still looks phenomenal. Probably going to be one of the best looking games for a hot minute, Rift Apart. And perhaps most impressive, though, was the fact that you'd have to struggle and guess, honestly, at where any loading points happen. I mean, that shit was quick. And for a game that is, like, based around, the entire screen changes, where they're going in between, like, dimensions and shit, like, zero load, just all fucking, like, super snappy. So it's definitely one of the first games to also put to use that PS5 super quick, lightning fast storage as well. Did you see any of that pop up on your timeline?
I did. I watched a little bit of it. It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good. It seems like the first, like, real
next gen,
big next gen game that actually looks and feels next gen.
True. That was kind of like when we first saw it at was it E3? It must have been E3 last year or whatever. Not E3, but the Summer of Games or whatever.
Yeah, that thing they had, yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely, I think, the first thought I had even back then was this feels like the first real next-gen game. And now here we are a year later, and guess what? It still feels like the first real next-gen game. Obviously, because lots have been delayed, but nevertheless, even others that have been coming up and out as of late, like Returnal, for example, for whatever reason, just don't quite feel the same. Next up, Jeff Goldblum, Mr. Black, which if I had my webcam on right now, people would be able to see in the background. And he unfortunately has currently pink frosted tips. Because the sunlight gets past those curtains just enough that they have bleached like NSYNC in the late 90s, the very top of his cardboard head, and now he's got pink frosted tips.
Very nice.
But you know what's Jeff Goldblum, so if he did it in real life, I don't think anyone would actually question it. Just like this, nobody would actually question this. Jeff Goldblum is going to be taking part, if it hasn't already happened, in a Dungeons & Dragons podcast, playing as an elven sorcerer Balmer for a podcast called Dark Dice, which apparently is a fairly major Dungeons & Dragons podcast. So I can't even imagine letting loose Jeff Goldblum's mind into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, but I kind of want to know what the hell happens. I might have to go and seek this out and enjoy this, if only to hear of like what kind of decisions Jeff Goldblum makes in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I want to know the combat decisions that Jeff Goldblum makes as a sorcerer in Dungeons and Dragons. Is he vanilla as fuck, or does he come up with some really crazy Jeff Goldblum jazz hands ideas for absolutely everything that happens? One way or the other, I'm sure it's going to be fucking hilarious, just because it's Jeff Goldblum. He's the most unique motherfucker on this planet as far as I'm concerned. There's no one else quite like Jeff Goldblum. All that whining, Mr. Black, that was happening the last couple of weeks over at Epic, sorry, not Epic, at Activision, in regards to the shareholders and stakeholders having a lot of meetings about how much money Mr. Bobby, I'm a Satan lookalike Kotick was making on a yearly basis, base salary and, of course, the famous bonuses that he receives. Both were under heavy scrutiny here in the last while. Apparently, all the whining worked. Combination of the internet and the shareholders and stakeholders, as his Bobby took a bit of a hit this week. 50% cut on salary. To bring it down, and they stated specifically, they said to bring it back down in line with the rest of the company, and to make it more realistic versus the rest of what everyone else in the company is currently making, regardless of the success of the company. They felt that Bobby just taking home bajillions of dollars every single year, while other people were either getting fired or taking pay cuts, might have been a bad look. So Bobby's taking a bit of an L on this one. He's not going to cry too hard. He's still going to make $875,000 a year as a base salary, with the option. And this is what's fucking wild, is that this is the reduced. This is the Walmart fire sale reduction of Bobby Kotick's fucking compensation. So $875,000 a year, plus the ability to earn up to 200% base salary as a bonus yearly. It's a lot of money. I'm sure Bobby's going to be okay. I don't think his yacht squadron is gonna hurt.
He'll survive, I'm sure.
I'm sure he's going to be
just one less hypercar to buy this year. That's all. He'll be okay.
He'll be. You know what's funny? Honest to God, I can't remember the last time I saw Bobby Kotick in a picture or video like recently. As in like I've seen pictures of him, but they're all old pictures. I don't like for all I know, Bobby Kotick looks like fucking Palpatine at this point. It's been so long since I've seen a picture of this motherfucker. I don't know, maybe he's like a poster child for like Rogaine or like the hair club for men or some shit at this point. But I just try to envision what he looks like when he's even older, and he already looks like a gremlin. So I'm sure when he's really old, he's gonna legitimately look like a fucking gremlin. It's gonna be incredible. Very wealthy gremlin, but a gremlin. Next up. Not that it should surprise anyone. This goes hand in hand with that. I can't talk. If I nap, I can't speak. Not that anyone this should surprise anyone, but also recently it was reported that nearly every studio at Activision, and I don't mean some, I mean nearly every, if not all studios, are now working on Call of Duty.
Wow.
Every single studio, including the one that was working on Crash Bandicoot 4, is now splitting their time supporting Call of Duty efforts. So they are, if you want a definition of all in on one property, oh baby, we're all in on Call of Duty, which up to this point is obviously not a bad decision because, well, Call of Duty Mobile made more than basically most Fortune 500 companies in a single fucking year. So it can't be that bad of a decision. It does seem like, or it is a bit unfortunate that it seems like we're just going to get more and more homogenous fuckery from Activision. All of the games are going to be the same. But, hey, if they make money,
why not?
Bobby Kotick's happy. Related to this also, Blizzard Games. This came up. Blizzard Games has lost just shy, I believe it was 29%, so just shy of 30% of all of its player base in the last 3 years across all titles.
Damn.
Almost 1 in 3 players have decided to stop playing Blizzard games in the last 3 years. Of course, we've got, you know, the very much looked forward to Diablo Immortal on mobile. That's going to go real well, I'm sure. That'll get the numbers up in China. And then we've got the Overwatch 2 release, which will happen maybe. Nobody fucking knows if that's actually ever going to get released.
I don't think anybody cares either, really.
That's another problem, is I don't think anyone actually gives a fuck. Other than that, what do they got? They've got the remake of Diablo 2 and Warcraft, I guess. But up to this point, they've lost a lot of players. We'll see how many of those players they recuperate as they seemingly get closer and closer to a mobile-focused, mobile-first kind of deal, with really only Diablo being the thing that's showing them to still be going for some part of the PC market. But we'll wait and see. But for now, obviously they're not hurting. They're still making lots of money because World of Warcraft is a thing. But to lose 30% of your player base in 3 years is still not something. It's still not something you look at and go, "Oh, we're still making money. It's fine." Like that's a bit of a problem. You lose 30% of your player base. Some interesting stats came out from a poll at this year's Game Developers Conference survey, where over 3,000 developers were asked some of these questions. These were their answers to this or to these questions. So that's a lot of devs. That's a pretty good cross-section of the industry in general. 44% of developers said that their project got delayed due to COVID. Big surprise there. Only 3%, this is actually a hurtin' fucking statistic. Only 3% of all of these developers that were asked believe that the 70-30 or the 30-70 revenue split on digital storefronts is justified. So that's like your Steam marketplace and stuff like that, taking 30% off the top of all that shit. Or Apple's iOS platforms, etc., etc. The PlayStation 5 is currently the most popular console to develop for, with PC being the most popular overall platform. That's not shocking, because, I mean, the PS4 sold over 100 million fucking units, and the PS5 is the fastest selling console of all time currently, and so there's obviously a lot of trust and faith in the PlayStation brand right now to be a good solid base to develop a game for. Not shocking. Microsoft has a lot of extra work to go through there to actually entice people a bit more. And 51% of devs said yes to the idea of unionization to help, I suppose, with the disparity in the wage gaps, of course, across various roles. And then, of course, the crunch time problem that continues to be an issue in the industry. So 51%, we've officially crossed the 50% threshold. I'm sure unionization in the industry is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. And it seems like that time is getting closer and closer as we move forward. I would like to see unionization in it. I mean, we've seen a lot of... I'm not even a huge union person because while unionization is typically really good for workers, sometimes, unfortunately, unions just also suck balls and they gate the fuck out of things for new people coming in. Like probably the biggest hurdle is the seniority thing in unions, where regardless of how skilled you are, the longer you are a part of the union and the longer you've been part of the gig, the higher the priority you get. And so you'll get like these situations where a newer guy or girl comes in and they might have 3 to 5 years of experience, but they're new, they're fresh, and they're just outright fucking better than a lot of the guys that have been around for a while. They've gotten slack, they haven't kept up on their knowledge, they haven't gone in to relearn new shit. But those guys are going to get priority and higher salaries over somebody that is better. So it's not always a plus, but I think it's almost always a net positive for unions, especially when you get into a situation like this where employees are pretty much... I mean, I think it's safe to say, given all we've talked about in the podcast here in the last 3 years, all the cases we've seen, the games industry could use unions. Probably could use unions. There's a lot of whipping pole going on right now across almost every major publisher and developer. Related to one of these points In a massive bid to make the Xbox store on PC more appealing to developers, so this is related to the only 3% thinking the 30-70 split is justified, Microsoft is changing their revenue share to 88% or 88-12, meaning that they're only going to take a 12% cut on the Microsoft storefront on the PC. I believe that matches Epic now. I think the Epic store has the same 88-12 cut split. They eventually, people were wondering if this meant that they were also going to do it on the console side, but they're not. At least not at this time. And I suspect that's because it would be financially ruinous for them to do that right now. They basically are just getting their feet underneath them with the Series X, and the base of consoles available not high enough yet. I don't think that they can justify dropping from 30 to 12% on that right now, especially because if you pair that with the other knowledge that came out with one of our other points this week, the Epic, holy fuck, Adam, Epic versus Apple case. I'm a mess today. The Epic versus Apple case has gotten spicy. We got more news. It actually started up in the last week or so. The judges are actually getting a bit confused, honestly, because the games industry is so fucking like top secret that the way that all these people are talking about all these various points during the trial is starting to fucking confuse the judges a little bit. But they're slowly they're getting their way through it. But what I didn't expect to happen was that Microsoft and Sony would get pulled into this mess, and that we'd end up getting information about stuff that normally we definitely would never have fucking known in a million years. Like, this is shit that's just hidden deep within these companies that would never have become public. For example, and this is in relation to Microsoft and that point I was just talking about in terms of not changing the rev split on consoles. Microsoft has apparently never once made a profit on any console sold, as far as hardware goes. They have taken an L on every single console they've ever sold. And so obviously that means that all of their revenue for the entire division, their profit, I should say, in their division, comes exclusively from software and services. So now you know why they might not be rushing out to go to the 30-70 split on consoles and changing it to match the PC side. PC they can get away with, not so much on the console side. And the other interesting point that came up is that Sony apparently, not that we should be shocked by this as we've seen it, is very against crossplay in general. We've seen that in various ways. Genshin Impact, you can't even play your file on the PC, whereas if you were to play it on the phone and PC, you can crossplay and just pick up your account and fucking log in and away you go. Sony doesn't let you do that shit. Sony have been very hard against all multiplayer games having crossplay of any kind with any other console. But it goes deeper than that. So we've known that to be the case, but it goes deeper than that in that documents came out, an actual document, you can look at it online, on Twitter it was posted, that Sony is making game developers pay for crossplay based on revenue that occurs off the platform. So you can look at the percentages if you want, but it basically boils down to Sony is saying if you want crossplay and you're going to put the game on our console, you're going to have to pay up for it. So they're forcing devs to pay just to have crossplay capabilities. I don't think anyone else does that. Nintendo might to a degree, but Sony seems to be the one that's doing the heavy lifting in the anti-crossplay market. Microsoft, for my God, many years now has been open and trying to push for crossplay across as many platforms as possible. And so with this coming out, I'll be interested to see if Sony continues to do that shit, or if they're going to get nuked from orbit now that information is public. That's not something the dev can just come out and say. Because think about when a game comes out and it doesn't have crossplay. How many of the average consumers are going to blame Sony versus blaming the developer? Right? Most people are going to say, why the fuck does X game not have crossplay? I want to play with my friends. You know, my friends over on the Xbox are playing with our friends on the PC. Why can't I play this game with them? Why am I stuck on an island with just, other people on the platform? And they usually yell at the developer. The developer can't come out and say, oh, well, it's because and be like, hey, Sony makes us pay a bunch of money if we want to have crossplay, and we can't afford to be doing that shit, or we don't want to bow to that, so we don't. So that's very intriguing, for sure. And then Epic Game Store apparently is nowhere near profit thanks to spending upfront exclusivity on the free games that has been available on the storefront over time, and does not expect to continue to be profitable for 3 to 4 years, which we've known a bit before. Is that somebody upstairs?
Yep, my son is playing in his room, which is right above me, so you know.
He's yeeting some shit across the fucking room right now.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's funny, the Epic versus Apple thing. I know Tim Sweeney or whatever is basically doing this. Obviously, it will help Epic to a degree, to make some more money through Fortnite, which is their biggest driver. But I feel like this is definitely gonna end up fucking the entire industry up a bit. I mean, this is gonna be like, so much information is coming out now for all parties, whether it's Sony, Microsoft, Epic, Apple, a lot of their anti-consumer or whatever practices that are coming out, and they're all coming out to bear in these testimonies. I don't know, I feel like this is gonna change up fucking everything. And honestly, it's probably going to be for the better for the developers, because at the end of the day, I'm not entirely sure how you justify a 30% cut in certain instances. I could appreciate if it was on a console level, like Microsoft and Sony do, because they are very specific tools. They're not like multi-tools. It's not like a cell phone or some shit where you have a storefront on a cell phone. That's your own environment. But I can appreciate, that point. But I don't know about, Steam, for example, is getting sued by Humble Bundle, which is not going to go well. That's going to be useless. But for being monopolistic, and being both anti-consumer and anti-developer in their practices, and it's kind of true. Steam is at the point now where they're so big that if you don't put your games out on Steam, you're kind of fucking yourself.
Yep.
But if you put your games out on Steam, Steam is fucking you. And
Yep.
there's like nothing you can do about it. And how many people have come up and had their own launchers, even individual publishers have tried to do battle with Steam. And nobody has the answer yet. Epic is the first one that has enough money to try and buy their way into Steam's bordering monopolistic situation right now, to try and create any kind of competition that would force Steam to stop sticking their dick down the neck of every single developer that comes to their platform. So what do you think about these revenue splits? As somebody who, for example, we could equate this to a degree to our situations as content creators that we've experienced over the years for various revenue splits, whether it be on YouTube, in the ad share revenue that we've gotten based on our content, or revenue splits we've gotten with partnerships, or like here on Twitch. Obviously we can't say percentages and whatnot, it's against contract, but we can speak to what that feels like as somebody in a situation where, you always speak about knowing your value, right? Mm-hmm. And then what do you feel about situations where you get a platform, whether that's something like YouTube or Twitch, or Steam and Epic Game Store and stuff, and you've got these competing views of, just because you're putting your game on our platform, because it's this big, we're going to take 30% of your revenue. And on their end, their resources that they're spending to host your game is like nil, but they're taking 30% cut just from sheer size. So what are your thoughts on that from a creator standpoint? Obviously, the business standpoint is blatantly obvious. They have market position. They're going to abuse the market position until somebody tells them they can no longer abuse the market position. That's just the reality of it. Everyone's going to make as much money as they can. And people coming in fairness, at 8812 are doing it less for the developers and more for getting developers to their platform, it's not like an olive branch where it's like, oh, hey, we feel bad for you. So what do you feel about these kind of revenue splits in general that we've dealt with over years compared to say something like this?
Well, I think it's a little bit different. I think um it's a little bit different because like in a way it's similar because we're on a platform like Twitch where the revenue split is theoretically supposed to be 50-50, like depending on your partnership
We
and
can
things
say
like
that there are different tiers to partnership
yeah,
levels.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 But I mean, um, oh, it's such a tough one because for example, like yeah, we're on Twitch, but we also have means to sell ourselves in other ways, and make revenue in other ways outside of just say a subscription base. If we just want to talk subscriptions, like
Yeah,
if
because
you're a
well,
brand,
that or ad rev is the only place that you're going to get rev splits, right? That's
yeah,
just
yeah.
where it is.
I mean, I'm not even sure what the rev splits are right now for ad revenue. It's been so long. But I think it's fair.
Mm.
Um, that's never bugged me. The only ever times that I really had a problem with Twitch is when they've done things like add in bits and stuff to like kind of get in on the tipping action, um, and donations or whatever you want to call them, on Twitch. That felt a little egregious, um, because it didn't really add any real value, in my opinion. Like the content creator and the consumer both get more and give more without going through a third party. Um, so like when it comes to just say subscriptions, Twitch is allowing us to have the ability to use their platform to be on where there are millions of viewers, where you have a chance to grow. So if you're good and you're doing the right things, you have a chance to grow. Nothing's guaranteed because it's so big. Same with thing with Steam, right? If you
Yeah,
have a game,
similar.
it's similar to a degree. Although like on Steam though, like if you've already have traction and stuff, like people know where to go to buy it.
Yeah,
Twitch is more of like
they might
um
not even know you're there.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly, right? You might just get buried.
yeah.
Um so I don't have a problem with Twitch's cuts. I think they're fair and you do have the ability to have better splits the more value you bring to the company.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Steam does that. I don't know. So like maybe if you sell X amount of games, your rev split
I
can
think it's
go up
I think
some.
it's pretty much 70-30. That's flat.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure exactly how Steam does it. But at the same time, like Steam also Steam also allows people to sell their games at a large rate and puts you in front of people. Like Twitch doesn't even really do that. Like Twitch doesn't really promote a lot of streamers. Like they do, but it's a lot of the same big streamers that keep
Yeah.
the train going. Steam will like, Steam helps with a lot of like there are things like I go on Steam's sell page or a storefront and there are games that like I've never heard of like
There's a lot
ever.
of vaporware on Steam
There's a,
still.
there's a lot of there's a lot of that shit, right? And then there's like, the top 10 or whatever, like the top selling stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I just think Steam brings a lot of value the same way that Twitch brings a lot of value to streamers. Like cuz you can stream on YouTube, you can stream on Facebook. And there's a reason why people come here, and I would imagine that most of the rev splits on all of these other platforms are relatively the same unless you're getting an exclusivity deal. And in which case they're buying you out. It's the same thing of an exclusivity deal on Epic Store or Steam,
And
whatever.
it was similar with pretty much everywhere for a time where 70-30, regardless of your platform, that was going to be your split
Yeah.
as well. So it's only when somebody comes into the market like Epic and says fuck it 88-12.
Yeah, because they have such a big dick, right? Like
Yeah.
they can go ahead and do that. And they said so themselves that like they're not making any money
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
But they're worth so much that they can take these losses. Um I don't like I'm going to be this guy, but I don't see Steam doing anything wrong. 70-30 seems like a relatively balanced out split from most affiliate related things that I've ever been part of.
Mm.
It's really rare to see you go above a 70-30 in really anything. And I've been part of many, many rev shares and affiliate related sponsorships over the years where like it's usually 50-50, 70-30. Like if you're doing a really good job, I think I may have done a sponsorship deal once where it was an 80-20 split. And I think I might have had to negotiate for that. But usually 70-30, like thing is man, if Steam is providing a platform, they're doing the transaction, they're dealing with the accounting on the back end, they're making sure that they're guaranteeing your product as well. So like if something goes wrong, like there is a process.
Yeah,
You know,
their customer support.
their customer support, like,
Mm.
and they have overhead as well. You know, they have servers, they have employees, they have, you know, maintenance. They've got all these things. Like it's a massive machine. And, you know, when Steam is down, the world kind of like stops, you know, like they're up 99.9% of the time. So they're very, very reliable. I personally don't think that there's a problem with it. I don't see why a fan would get upset over that.
I don't think a lot of fans get upset over it. I think it's just been a point of discussion simply because Epic started, or Epic came out and said, you know,
Yeah,
they're
but
doing 8812.
yeah, but Epic isn't doing it for charity.
Well, no, and
Every-
neither is Microsoft. They're doing it to attract
That's it.
developers to their platform.
That's it. Why would Epic fail? I don't care how much money Epic has. Epic fails horribly if they do a 70-30 split.
Yeah.
Because people are just gonna be like, I'm just gonna go to Steam. Why am I
And to highlight
What-
that point, so 7% of all people that joined Epic's game store through like in terms of user acquisition on, like, you know, the games that they give away each month for free on Epic, like they
Yeah.
still do that. They have new games all the time to give away for free. 7% of the people that came in to get a free game have actually gone on to purchase something on the store. So their conversion for people coming in on these freebies that they're spending millions and millions of dollars to acquire is not particularly high. That doesn't mean that only 7% of all users on the platform buy games, but you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
there's a you know, there's an enormous cost to them doing it, but they can afford to.
Yeah,
to do
I
it.
mean, listen, there's two people in chat here, right? One says, imagine working 5 years on making a game just to put your game on digital retail shelf, and someone says, I deserve 30% of all your hard work. So, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, man. Thinking like that is there's such a stinky bit of entitlement, and you don't understand how business works. Imagine working on for a game for 5 years and then not having an ability to sell it because you don't have what it takes to have millions of people potentially look and buy your game or have a platform to sell your game digitally. It's no different than somebody saying, well, you know, I just streamed 250 hours in the last 30 days. What gives Twitch the right to take a large chunk of my earnings? Well, they give me a platform to actually stream on and grow with and sell myself on. That is just the reality of the beast. That's how business works, right? It's like retailers. Imagine buying a product and putting it on Walmart shelves, and then Walmart is taking a large chunk of the profits. Well, I've spent 10 years developing and patenting this product. Well, guess what? You're also in the biggest retailer who spent billions and billions and billions of dollars to go and create this juggernaut so that you can go ahead and put that item in front of millions, tens, hundreds of millions of people in a round of a year around the globe. You have to pay for that. You don't just listen. If it's so easy, if it's so fucking easy, go and create something, produce it, and then sell it yourself without the help of other people and see where that gets you. This is business. This is how business works. When you sell a house, imagine having a house, putting it on the market, and then giving 6 to 8% away to an agent that just simply showed it. Or paying taxes. Imagine working and then giving away half of what you got. You know, this is just the way it is. If you don't like it, you don't have to do business with Steam. Go and do business with Epic. Go and do business with someone else. This is the way the world works. Nobody is going to build a massive platform and then do you a solid because they own the market because of the hard work that they put in over how long has Steam been a thing now? Like
A very long time.
Forever, couple decades. This isn't the buy. This isn't happen overnight. This is what they do. This is how they make their money, right? So you can either be part of it or not be part of it. That's totally up to you. It isn't Steam's job to make sure that you're making profit. It isn't. It's Steam's job to provide a service, which they do very well, and they want to cut for that service. It's just the way it is. Whether you think 30% is too much, whether you think it's 10%, 20%, I don't fucking know. It doesn't really matter. You don't really have a say in the matter. And games have been doing this for decades on Steam.
I think it's obvious that if Steam went, and went higher than 30%, it would eventually cause itself a hell of a problem, because then people would go out of their way to avoid it, because it would make developing the game and selling it almost. It would make it nearly impossible for a lot of smaller developers to be able to make up volume if you start saying Steam is going to take 50% of the revenue from your game.
You're also not printing. It's digital.
Well, a lot of these games are still printing, but like the smaller ones, obviously not.
Yeah, no, but I know. I mean, every time you sell a game on Steam, it costing you less money because you're not having to print that game.
Yeah,
it's just going on Steam.
I wish I had the breakdown. There was an old, not that old, but a Michael Pachter, who's a bit kooky, but he at least knows his numbers because he works Wedbush Morgan. So they had he had the breakdown roughly of what a retail video game, like what percentage breakout from publisher, developer, retail, everything, the breakout. Yeah. So to see what ends up in the developer's hands at the end of the day. And it's obvious that there is, it is unlikely that, especially, or even in Steam's 70-30 split scenario, it is unlikely that the loss on revenue there is deeper than that in which they did for years at retail box stores only.
I guarantee you it isn't, because you got to print the game, you got to ship the game, then the retailer that's selling it in a big box store needs their cut.
Yeah,
they need to make money too, right? They're not going to sell it to you for free. So, the thing is, the people that are complaining about 30, 70, 30 don't even know what they're complaining about. They don't understand how business works. And once again, Steam has got to make their money. They just do. And when you own the market and you've earned the market, right? You have every right to charge what you want to charge. As long as there's enough consumers that are going to buy your service, put your game up on Steam, you're not doing anything wrong. If it was too expensive, they wouldn't put their games on Steam. And I'll tell you right now, if games weren't sold on Steam, they aren't making as much money, period.
Well, that's why they all inevitably go to Steam anyway.
That's why they all go to Steam. So what are you going to do? You want your cake and you want to eat it too? There is value in Steam. They've proven it for decades. So when people don't go on Steam, they're going to go through the retail, or they got to go to some other third party that nobody uses, or you go on Steam. If your revenue cut is a little bit less than what you would make at retail, which I don't even think it would be. I don't know. I could be talking out my ass.
I can't remember the breakdown, but it's if it was more, I would be fucking shocked.
Yes. So say for example, say you save 5%, 7% on going retail than you do Steam, right? After you're shipping, printing, paying the retailer, all that shit, paying Walmart, wherever you're selling your game. Say you're saving 5-7% than what you are in the Steam. Well, you can pay that extra 5-7%, and then you can sell your game infinitely more to the point where you're making up that 5 to 7% and some, so that it doesn't really matter. or you can just not go on Steam and not make that percentage up, right? So I don't see the problem here.
I don't necessarily have a I don't think I agree with pretty much everything you said, because the reality is that if this was a scenario where you could say, for example, that Microsoft and Epic are doing it because they can afford to do it, not just in terms of seeing it as acquisition costs for developers to decrease their percentage share, but actually because hosting games and selling it and providing those services didn't require them to have that much money, and they want the developers to specifically have more money in their pockets to continue making games. And I'm sure some of it is, a small part of it is that, because, you know, at least on Microsoft's side in their gaming division, most of the guys making the big decisions are, at this point, not in 2011, but at this point, are pretty game-focused, developer-first kind of guys. I suspect a small portion of it makes them happy that they can give an 88-12 split, or they convince the higher-ups above them that would have to give the okay for that shit to do that. It is ultimately, of course, an acquisition cost to get developers onto their platforms, instead of just going straight to Steam.
Does against Twitch.
Yeah.
It's they're burning money.
Yeah.
So that they can start to buy part of the revenue share.
Yeah.
I had gotten an offer from Mixer a couple of years ago, back in like 2019.
Yeah.
And they were willing to pay me a very large chunk of not only guaranteed money, but a much better revenue split than what I do with Twitch, right? Because what else are they going to offer me? Like, are you going to offer me the same deal that Twitch is offering? Hell no, I'm not going anywhere. They're not doing this because, oh, you know what, Maximus Black, we just love your content, and we're just all about content creators. We really, really want to see you guys succeed.
I mean, they're probably going to say that anyway. But yeah.
Of course they are. Of course they are. While they send a boatload of money over your way, that's what they told Ninja, right? Ninja don't give a fuck about Mixer. He cared about the fucking 30, 40, $50 million bag that they were giving him to go over there.
Yeah,
that's what it was. You know, that's what that was. Let's not get it twisted here.
Yeah.
So, what else is Epic going to say to people? That's your only thing. You got to offer developers more. If not, then what are you doing?
And you know what's crazy is those free games that they've been giving away. A document came out also showing in detail for this lawsuit, again, the Apple versus Epic. It came out as part of that. How much of the games they have already released, how much money they paid for that acquisition, that game to go on for free for the length of time, how many people made use of it, and then how many actually turned into what they considered active users based on that, and then of course provided a user acquisition cost to each one of those. Is a very interesting chart, and the first thing a lot of developers saw when they saw some of these numbers popping up was, holy shit, some of these smaller developers were getting reamed. Like, they took nothing. Talk about know your value. They took nothing. For like Epic, on the Epic side, their user acquisition cost was like fucking 40 cents or some fucking number, because they took like, some of them, I was seeing like $50,000 the dev would take. Just 50 grand to go up free on Epic for a time because they're indie title, and they just wanted the 50 grand. And that was it. And then they see how many users like popped up from that $50,000 for Epic that they just spent, and the user acquisition cost, pennies, literal fucking pennies. So you can see that developers some smaller developers especially, are desperate to get their games in front of people, and they will take a fucking cut one way or the other to get there.
Why not? Listen, man, if Twitch could offer me where I could take a revenue cut for them to fucking promote my stream on the front page of Twitch,
well, that's a game changer.
It's a game changer because I'm confident in my content.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a developer and you've got an amazing game, spending $50,000 or $100,000 is fuck all when you have no audience. If Twitch comes to me and they're like, "Hey, listen, man, you can spend $2,000-$3,000 a month, and we'll promote your stream front page," I know I would do that in a second. And then that money I would convert into viewers,
Yeah.
which would convert into money,
Yeah.
so that I'm burning it on the front end, but I'm going to make it in the back end.
Yeah.
That's business. I'm going to pay for that service. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a dangerous path for Twitch. Don't suggest that. Look, odds are it's probably
suggest it all. Hey, Twitch.
It's probably already
Twitch.
happening, to be honest with you.
Hey, Twitch. Listen, I will pay you. I will pay you money to put me in front of tens of thousands of people every time I stream. I will pay you money because I'm that confident that I can convert that into more money, which will ultimately help my career.
Also, your discoverability is so shit that it's the only viable way to really do it anyway.
There you go.
But yeah, so there you go. So very interesting. Epic versus Apple is honestly bringing more interesting information from outside of those two companies than just between them themselves. And I really can't. This suit, God knows how long this suit's going to go on for, but I'm very intrigued with what the results are going to end up being at the end of the line. Doubling back in my list here a bit. Where was I? Nintendo Switch sales aren't slowing down, Mr. Black. Even with the news of the new SKU that we talked about the other couple weeks ago now, with 4K output, etc., the new Switch, that's likely to come out this year or early next. It is now selling faster than the Wii did, and we all know how crazy the Wii sold, and also the PS4 at this point in its life cycle. It has sold 84.59 million units to date. Which, again, to put it in perspective, the PlayStation 4 sold, a little over 100 million, but that was over a very long time. The Switch is already at 84.5 mil at this point in the game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe continues to be its top seller, and that's not just from bundles anymore. It was the number 8 selling game in North America last year. As a single, and that only includes single copies sold. It doesn't include bundles. So it was a top 10 this far into the game. And its attach rate is enormous, which means right now, it's still number 1. It's still topping Animal Crossing, which is the second highest, and has sold 35 million copies. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I remind you is a resale of Mario Kart 8. So if you want
money,
if you want value for your fucking money, oh boy, does Nintendo know how to churn that bad boy out. And that shit's still selling for full price, by the way. That shit ain't selling for fucking $39.99. That is a full price game, and selling big numbers. Next up, Halo Infinite will feature cross progression on PC and console, so you can play and continue anywhere. So if you have an Xbox and a game PC at home, which a lot of people obviously would, and you just want to play on the PC, and maybe you want to play on the Xbox another day, your progress will be carried between the two platforms, no problem. You just pop on, log in, and away you go off to the races. Also, they're aiming for what they're calling a premier PC experience, which, given this list, is not inaccurate. I mean, I know a lot of PC exclusive games that don't offer some of these features. For example, it is going to support ultra-wide, not just ultra-wide, but like Mr. Black's monitor, super ultra-wide. So that's not 21:9, that's whatever the fuck, 34 by whatever the shit, crazy-ass thing like Jeff's monitor, or the Samsung G9, the new one that came out, that's so damn big it like wraps a circle around you. So it will feature support for both of those. Also, we'll have triple keybinds and what they're calling a wide variety of advanced graphics options for the PC. So they are trying to make it known that you will get your maximum PC value out of all this. Which, honestly, after what we saw in the demo, they're gonna need it, because holy shit. There you go, Mr. Black. Have you actually played any games in like the full ultra, like, or super ultra wide?
Yeah, I played a lot of Realm Royale, and
that game supported your monitor's resolution.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same with all those survival games. Rust, and pretty much all of those have it.
That's true. They do that genre tends to support the super ultra wides quite substantially. It's quite a different experience though, isn't it? Like it's kind of crazy going from 21:9 and then fucking blowing that bitch out to the sides.
Yeah, Fortnite as well.
That's true. It supports it as well.
And yeah, it's cool. It's nice. You see way more of your thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
obviously you gotta like look around a lot more. Like it's not as
Yeah, definitely, especially with how close you sit to yours, you'd have to turn your chair. You'd be fucking doing like
pretty
pivoting,
close to
pivoting to do it. But yeah, so there you go. You'll have that experience for Halo Infinite whenever that bad boy drops. God knows when that's going to be. The newly minted. Oh, this is probably my favorite news of the week, Mr. Black. I'm sure you saw lots of discourse on Twitter about this as well. The newly minted Esports Certification Institute, which is like, honest to God, almost like meme level bad guy in a movie company name. The Esports Certification Institute popped up this last week looking to change how people make their way into the esports job market. Citing that it's too reliant on the old boys club and not on actual knowledge or skills. So they're posing that, as we already know, the esports and gaming market in general, this whole even content creation side, is definitely still old boys club. It's definitely who you know and not what you know, to the extreme a lot of the times. And you know, as casters and watching casters, I'm sure you would remember that we've seen several of the more talented casters get snubbed for people that probably have no right to be casting, but they're there because they know somebody or they have a following on social media or some shit instead. Which always hurts because then you watch the commentary and you want to yeet yourself into the fucking sun. But more than that, it's what they call bad actors, people that really don't deserve to be where they are, but they're running esports organizations or they're C-level guys or girls that shouldn't be there. So their idea was, fuck it, let's make this institute that will instead provide a service where we will give them, they will give people tests that pay for it. So this is like, you want to be a chartered professional accountant, and they cite that specifically, chartered professional accountant, CPA. You want to be that? You got to go and pay the dollars to take the test. You pass the test, we're going to send you that piece of paper that you can hang in your tiny ass cubicle and show the world that you're a CPA. They're charging $400 for this, which is, of course, it sounds like a lot of money, but since they compared it to CPAs, which obviously charge a lot more than $400, somewhere more like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, I think, for a CPA, at least in Canada, can be quite expensive. You pay $400 and then they send you this test, you write it, and then you send it back, and if you pass it, well, congratulations, you are a esports pro. So, while it does cite some of the big esports names as members and contributing persons for this exam, I have some, I'm going to ask you some questions, Jeff. I'm going to see, as somebody who's been involved in the esports, okay, for a long time, oh, why did that not pop up? Don't do it to me. Don't make me Google search this shit again. Alright, fine. Esports Certification Institute. Here we go. I should be able to get it from here. Yeah, there we go. So, these are real questions. Somebody went out and bought these questions, or bought the exam, and then posted some of these questions. These are real questions off of the exam currently.
So what does this exam exactly do? It gives you certification?
So their idea is to try and create this institute, okay, where just like a CPA, if you, in order to be, what is going on here? Cancel. What is going on? One sec, guys, you're gonna lose audio. Audition wants to close itself, but I can't stop it. I'm pressing cancel, and it won't stop. One sec. Today is a very interesting technical alpha day. Let me let me tell you. Okay, I'm back. That's fucking weird. Anyway, I was pressing cancel and it just kept coming up like close, 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 close. So,
So they're basically saying you're getting a test.
You're getting a
in
test
order to apply for jobs,
so that you can take it to a job and say, I'm a certified esportser because I passed this exam.
Yeah, but how does that protect from old boys club?
It doesn't. And in fact, the irony is that some of the people involved in backing this institute and coming up with the questions are part of the old boys club. So it's like it's gating with more gating.
Yeah.
It's very odd. So I'm gonna ask you some of these questions.
You know what it's gonna be. You know what, when they go to get these jobs, right? these nobodies, right? And they're not interested to do business with them. This is the line they're gonna give them. Listen, I know you passed your exam, you're great and all, but I think you might be overqualified.
Sorry, we can't afford to pay you. You have a degree. We're actually looking for somebody that we can fire in the next 365 days and replace with somebody else.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just not going to work out this time. Best of luck.
Yeah, good luck. So here's some questions, Jeff. Are you ready to answer these esports questions and find
All
out
right, let me hear 'em. Let's see if I'm certified.
And see if you're certified? All right,
Let's hear
first question. Your marketing team is experimenting with you should know this because you drink lots of these energy drinks. This is a soft drink, though. Your marketing team is experimenting with creating a soft drink. The ratio by volume of flavoring to sugar to water is 1 part sugar, 5 parts water, 25 parts
flavor.
Oh, no, sorry. 1 part flavor. I messed up. 1 part flavor, 5 parts sugar, 25 parts water. That makes way more sense. The soft drink will be altered so that the ratio of flavoring to sugar is halved, while the ratio of sugar to water is doubled. If the final drink contains 4 ounces of sugar, how many ounces of water will it contain?
That was the most confusing fucking question I've ever heard in my entire life. I would fail. What are my guesses here?
5, 10, 16, and 20.
I'm gonna go 5. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Huh? So
I don't know.
Yeah.
I probably could figure it out if I sat there and tried
If
to
you
figure it out.
sat down and write it out, it would help. Regardless, do you? So my question is, do you think that that's going to help you in esports?
No.
Okay, just wondering. I'm also wondering what role in esports is going to be concerned with the ratio of all of this shit. When that would be like that's like a product manager, but for a company that you would partner with. What esports company is creating their own soft drinks that aren't partnering? What's the answer? Not a fucking clue. Couldn't tell you. You'd have to do the math. So if you're, 1, 5 to 25, where you're altering the ratio, flavoring to sugar is halved. So 5 to 25 is halved. And then you're doubling the ratio of sugar to water. I have no idea.
Dude,
I'd have to get out a calculator to do that shit more than likely, and I'd still probably get it wrong, to be honest, because I'm fucking horrible at math.
Yeah, I mean, who's making this?
There's big esports people, Mr. Black.
What's wrong with these people?
All right.
Why are they doing this? Stop. This is stupid.
Next question, Mr. Black.
Oh my god.
A Valorant player reports the following kills from their matches: 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 21, 22, 25, 26, 29, 35, 37, and 38. What is the value of the third quartile of the data set?
Don't know. Don't care either. This is crazy. Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to go through fucking calculus to be an esport fucking commentator.
So we're doing some stats on that one. That's a statistics question. It's not super complicated, but it doesn't need to be. They're making it more complicated. Like basically they're trying to frame it like, all right, you're a coach and you're watching your player's thing and you're trying to track stats to determine, their, third quartile is like what their top 20% or some shit. Anyway, you could just look at the numbers and tell there are better ways to tracking your player performance than trying to say, oh, the third quartile. That's something that you'd bring to like a business head just to sound like you were more intelligent than you actually are. Next question. Do players practicing their accuracy and has set a target of 80% average accuracy whatever the fuck in 6 games? In their first 5 games, they averaged 78. What must the player's accuracy be in the last game to achieve their goal of 80% accuracy across 6 games?
82.
Great.
Maybe.
Again, I have to have pen and paper. I can't do that kind of mental math. 40%, last question, Jeff. 40% of the employees in an esport company have passed the ECI exam. This is no joke. They have a question about the ECI exam in the ECI exam.
Nice.
40% of the employees in an esports company have passed the ECI exam. Among the employees who have not passed the exam, 32 have black hair and 16 do not. How many employees does the esports company have?
40% of employees. So among the employees who have not passed the exam, 32 have black hair and 16 do not. How many employees does the esport company have? So, well, it says the ones that have not passed.
This is another like fill out both sides of the equation, solve for X.
Yeah, okay.
Type of situation. Yeah. Not hard math, just like, what does this prove? That you can do basic math?
This literally reminds me of school, and that's not what I get.
Well, that's kind of what it is. And like, I guess they're trying to test somebody's mathematical competency in certain areas, but none of those seem to actually be useful. Anyway.
Cool.
There you go. You know what one of my favorite things out of all this is that the replies for this, I think it's in here. Was it here or somewhere else? Can't remember. Oh fuck, where is it? One of the responses was from Ryan, what's his last name? The head for YouTube partnerships for YouTube streaming. And he said, well, guess I'm part, what did he say? He said, I guess I'm part of the 60% that didn't pass the exam.
Rip.
Yeah, it's an interesting, so I'm not sure what, like, you can kind of loosely guess at what they're trying to see where people's competencies are with some of these questions. I don't think any of that really makes a huge difference. Basically, at this point, if you are hiring somebody for some of these roles, like that they're getting in there, like some of that's like a product manager, right? Even, like I said, even the soft drink thing, that's not something that a product manager would have to know how to do. The product manager would be working with the soft drink company that will be providing or creating that they're doing that shit. Why would you need to know how to do that shit? All you are interested in is the cost of the product, development-wise and production, and where you can ship that shit as a product manager, and then also working with your marketing team to create the visuals and the brand for the product. Unless you are the esports team or the marketing or the esports team or the division that's somehow making your own soft drink from scratch in your own factory, that doesn't show anything but like math competency. And in a lot of these instances, it's math competency that most programs that you would be using service programs that you'd be using to do your job would be doing most of this work for you. So I
No,
don't.
this is just I'm just tired of even talking about this. This is fucking stupid. It's a schmaz to get people to pay $400.
It's definitely a
fuck,
schmaz.
fuck all of this, man. Let's just move on. This is just hurt. This is the news we have. This is actually hurting my brain.
If you want your brain hurt, Google Stadia finally got enough games to force them to include a search bar.
There you go.
I repeat,
Nice.
Google Stadia up to this point didn't have a search bar.
Wow. Didn't need one.
Well, yeah, in fairness, they didn't need one. This comes right in the nick of time, Mr. Black, as more top employees have left, 6 of which going to join Jade Raymond at her new company.
Great. Bye-bye. Stadia is dead.
So there you go. And my second last here. Sony and Discord also announced a partnership this week, bringing Discord to the PlayStation. We don't know the details beyond that. At least I don't. I don't know if they've actually discussed further than to just say, hey, we're working together. So more of that, I guess, to come. I mean, what else is going to be? It's going to be Discord on PlayStation.
Yep.
There you go, I guess. And then lastly, some sad news. Giantbomb.com is entering a new era and ending it is definitely ending its longest standing era as Vinny Caravella, Alex Navarro, and Brad Shoemaker are leaving all at the same time. Actually, today is their last day at Giantbomb.com. They announced this on the last Giant Bomb podcast this week. And we're, of course, discussing as much as they could the reasonings behind it. A lot of it seems to be, I mean, it's a number of different things. Let
me guess. Let me just guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and guess. We've been doing this forever. We've made a ton of money. We're getting older. We want to start our families and live our lives. That's the show.
That's a substantial amount of it.
Yeah.
And when you listen to them talk about it, that's definitely been a lot of that, for sure. They, when Giant Bomb was acquired again by the parent company of GameSpot, I should say, and whatnot, they had to change, of course, some of their vision for the site, and they continued to do their work as best they could. Some of it is that the company is now looking. This is according to Jeff Gerstmann, who is staying on and will continue. According to him, they are starting to ask about what the future goals of the website is. Supposedly, I'm sure, to determine whether or not how much funding they're going to get. Because of the changing landscape, there's really only a couple of websites, gaming websites specifically, that are really profitable at this point. And that's mostly, you don't have to do that. Jeff's the only one that's going to see you. No webcam this week, love, you're good. So the landscape changed. Twitch and YouTube, individual content creators are blowing most of these websites out of the water in terms of viewership and draw. IGN and GameSpot are, two of basically some of the few still with a big enough readership to justify it. Giant Bomb was massive, and actually GameSpot is now built off of their website's platform in its current state. But times changed, and they're looking for them to change again. And a lot of the guys, as Jeff just took a guess at, they're getting up there. They've done Giant Bomb since they were in their late 20s. It's been 14 years. Vinny had his first kid 9 years ago. His first kid's now 9 years old. He has another one now, the younger. Jeff Gerstmann just announced their second child is coming in September, with their first just being in their infancy. And everyone has gotten up there and poured their entire lives into this, basically, their late adult lives. And it's not been an easy job. It's not been like other websites where you're an editor and you get handed a, here, do this review and go do that. And then that's like most of your job. They were doing it themselves. And like any entrepreneurial venture, you basically spend your entire fucking life and every waking moment dumping into it. So for 14 years, that's what these guys have been doing. Vinny didn't have a honeymoon, so they're going on a honeymoon. He got married fucking ages ago, for example. None of them took really any time off in all this time. They just dumped all their time into this venture. They accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, and I think they're all ready to move on. I'm sure they're all going to continue to work in various capacities. I don't know where it's going to be, but there you go. It's an end of an era. As Giantbomb closes up, and it definitely, along with other websites that have closed in the last few years, definitely shows how much the landscape has changed for games journalism because of YouTube and Twitch and things of that nature. They talked about it on the podcast, or like they joked about it, like before you couldn't convince somebody at the higher ups that anyone would want to watch. Like, who wants to watch 15 minutes of a game review on video? Like, who would want to do that? And then video reviews became fucking massive. And then the joke became, who in the fuck would want to sit down and watch somebody just play a video game? And in like 2008, Jeff and Vinny playing Persona 4 before YouTube had Let's Plays really, or Twitch existed, or Justin TV existed, was their biggest content. Was just two dudes sitting on the couch playing a game in its entirety. And then Twitch is now, like, the meme is, who wants to watch somebody play games? Well, as it turns out, lots of people.
The real question is, who in the fuck wants to go to a website and read reviews and look up game news? There's still
for reading and stuff and whatnot, that's still a thing. It's just not the main driver. And Jeff Gerstmann talked about this. He said, what we're thinking about right now is, what does it even mean to, not just for games, but in general, like for anything, what does it even mean to be a website in 2021? What is a website in 2021? Regardless of its
page.
Yeah, basically, right? It's a landing page. It's a funnel. It's a search engine optimization as a chance for the shit to crop up. And you still almost need to have it. It's like having a business card in business. It's almost like a necessity. You need to have it. But what does it fucking mean? And what does it mean for the content? And how much time should you be spending on the website versus just the content creation side of it? And so, yeah, very, changing times. That's why I'm building the website with Nikki the way that I am, so that it's as minimal effort as possible. It's there as a default for Critical Hit, because you need to have one. But if I didn't have to have one to have a hope at what I'm trying to do, I fucking wouldn't have a website. I'd just go all in on YouTube. Fuck all the rest of that shit. Like, why would you even bother? But you kind of have to have it. So very interesting to see that happen. Wish all those guys the best. And now, Mr. Black, it is time for you to do a little sellout. Tell me why I should have bought even more Elgato products this week.
Well, because they're great, Adam. Is because, they're going to give you the lighting you need, the green screening you need, the capture card you need, the hotkey stream deck stuff that you need. It's going to be everything that you want and more over at Elgato. Take your streaming setup to another level, or just take your PC setup to another level. You want to muffle out some noise, go ahead and get their sound dampering tiles that they got. You want to capture that PS4, go get yourself the 4K HDR 60 frame capture card. You want to have our podcast available at the click of a button, go grab a stream deck. I mean, Elgato's got it all. If you don't already got to get one. So go out and get one right now. Plus, we got Patreon, by the way.
We do.
It's patreon.com/LAGTV. Go over there, throw money at the screen, keep this podcast going. All right? Because we're milking this gravy train until it's no longer profitable. That's at least where my head's at.
Yep.
So, and hey, we're still making enough that we get excited to get up and do this and hang out with you guys every week. So keep the show going by heading on over to patreon.com/LAGTV, because in a perfect world, we'd love to tell you we're going to do this no matter how much support it gets, but that'd be a lie. That'd be a bold-faced lie.
Bold-faced lie.
All right. There comes mine and Adam's time comes at least at a minimal, and we're far beyond the minimal, so we're not too worried right now. But keep it going. Patreon.com/LAGTV. Make it happen. Support. If you guys love the content you've been watching for a decade, hey, as low as $1. And if you don't have money, that's totally fine. Another way to support: hit the like button, leave a comment, share it with a friend. Remember, just like buying potentially the front page of Twitch. Hey, you guys can be our marketing. All you need to do is fuck with the algorithms, spread it around, show some love. So that way we can monetize somewhere else and get it from somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, it's what keeps the show going. Plus, we've got NordVPN. If you guys don't already have a VPN service, it's time to get one. It's 2021. The world is on fire. You need to stay safe. You need to stay anonymous. And you do that when you get yourself a NordVPN. NordVPN.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT and get yourself, that's right, 70% off plus a bonus 30 days and a 30-day money-back guarantee. For whatever reason, the servers ain't cutting it for you. Get your money back. It's a win-win. You support the stream, the podcast. You get an awesome service. You can have up to 6 simultaneous devices, so you only need 1 account per household for the most part, especially since you can hook it up to your router. You can hook it up to your PC, your anything, smartphone, your TV, watch different regions of Netflix, go to different websites that might be region blocked. You can do it all with NordVPN. So head on over there and support them. And that's it.
Mr. Black, it's time for
movies and TV.
I actually just checked Twitter. They just wrapped up their last Giant Beast cast, which was a secondary. So now the boys are officially off the site. They're posting on Twitter as we speak. End of an era. Now, speaking of the end of an era, this is an unintentional segue. The Oscars viewership is in a hurting situation, Mr. Black, as it has dropped steadily year on year. From 43.7 million in 2014, which is a shitload of people watching the fucking Oscars, down to 9.8 million in 2021.
Oof. Damn.
That de-escalated quickly.
That sounded like Blizzard's
user base.
Yeah. Dropping quick. Dropping quick.
That's such an enormous fucking drop off. And you know what's crazy? I wish I could find it, but somebody also posted the Game Awards, you know, like their Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, and the viewership for that and put the 2 graphs next to each other, and the Game Awards is at like fucking 60-80 million viewers now, and then like you got fucking the Oscars down at 9 point something million.
I mean the Oscars is old fashioned, man.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of rich elite, in a lot of cases, fucking borderline criminal motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That are fucking, don't even need to go over it. We already know all the tabloids and everything. It's just dated, man. Nobody, it's
they
like,
haven't made an effort to change that format.
It's like Giantbomb, bro. It's like the time has come and gone. Like, yeah, there'll still be people that'll enjoy it and will tune in, and it's still got this prestigious feel to it. I haven't watched an Oscars in years. They get funny comedians to go up and do the things, and then they cancel them, and then they go back on it, and it's just it's a fuck show, bro. It's an absolute fuck show. The Oscars has become political. It's become redundant. It's become monotonous. It's boring. It's long. And, who really wants to watch a bunch of fucking multi-bagillionaires
circle jerk each other,
and thank God and whoever else is in their little camp for their success. I mean, yeah, congratulations. It gets old. It's not relatable. It's just not a relatable program.
I think people are also kind of tired with seeing how many people get snubbed to fuck at the Oscars. Like, they're really blatantly obvious ones. Like, sometimes they're close calls. And then other times you look at it, you're like, oh my God, please. Stop trying to pretend like this isn't just, like, it's almost as corrupt as boxing at this point. Bad. Oh, here you go. Fox got me the tweet here. So, the Game Awards live stream, starting from 2016, had 3.8 million. Now 2020, 83 million.
There you go.
Whereas as the trend reversed, 43.7 down to 9.8 million for the Oscars. So just new media, new things, and it's funny because the Game Awards is like loosely based on the Oscars, ironically. But I guess the format is just different enough for people to
Well,
take
it's not
it.
a bunch of stuck up, same old, same shit.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
an
got some
award system
youthful
for,
exuberance.
yeah, it's like an award system for the fans, right?
Mm.
It's Oscars is not an award system for the fans. It's a reward
Reward.
award system so that actors can have an Oscar so that they can get more money when they go to negotiate,
Yeah,
and that movie companies can put Oscar award-winning actor or an actress
yeah,
at the front of the thing. It's not for fans. It's
yeah,
for the movie creators.
yeah. That's very true. Like the it wasn't the Oscars. What was it that just went by? But then they turned like um oh my god, what's his name from Black Panther that passed away?
Chadwick Boseman?
Chadwick Boseman. Turn him into a fucking NFT to include it, like, or like to sell an NFT of a picture of Chadwick Boseman at this last awards show or whatever. And I was like, oh my god, when will
Yep.
it end?
It doesn't.
When will it end, Jeff?
It doesn't, bro. People in Hollywood, man, these people can't even rest in peace.
Just
They just got to forever milk them.
oh my god. Not that was an intentional segue, but Marvel Phase 4 trailer dropped. And of course, I watched it. I'm sure Jeff watched it at least once. Hype as always. Looked good. Had all the things that you'd want to, have. You had your Stan Lee motivational speech. Had the feels moments. Let's go over all the feels moments of the last phase, culminating in them showing the reaction in the theater to the end game scene, and then of course showing off some of the main logos and title cards for the upcoming Phase 4 products, including what seemed to be in the end there snuck in maybe Fantastic Four.
Yes, it is coming.
And so again, hopefully this one will be the good one. This is
Marvel's taken over, so I'm sure it'll be just fine.
Because oh my god, that poor family, the Fantastic Four family, has been beaten bloody by its last few attempts out up to this point. But yeah, new Fantastic Four. Some of the other ones, also looked quite interesting. There was of course Black Widow was there, but what was the one that's we talked about it last week as well? The it's more of like a kung fu based. No, the kung fu based one.
That's Shang-Chi or whatever it is.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. For sure. There's all sorts of stuff in there that's still going to be interesting. The Thor movie's probably going to be fucking fire because they've really hit their pace with the Thor movies. They've all been really good. So yeah, lots of good stuff in there. What are the ones that you're most looking forward to at a Phase 4? Do you have like some favorite standouts?
I mean, I'm looking forward to Thor. I'm looking forward to yeah, I would say Thor is probably the most. I haven't really been in the Marvel kick. Like I got through the the end game, and I watched WandaVision. I still haven't watched Falcon and Winter Soldier yet, but I'm really burnt out of comic book movies. It's been a nice break, so like it's not that I don't want to see more. I'm just like, I'll just wait. I'm just gonna wait. I'm not hyping myself up. I've actually been enjoying the TV shows. Like I actually think that's the medium I want to watch these things in now, and maybe go to the theater like once or twice a year for a big bang. But of course, we're gonna get like 3 Marvel movies a year and all these shows and shit. So I don't know, man. I just haven't been hooked into obviously this next phase yet. So we'll see. I would say the most thing I'm looking forward to is Doctor Strange, because I think Doctor Strange is going to set the tone and everything for what's to come. And I think a lot will be revealed in Doctor Strange. So
do you think he's going to be like, do you think Doctor Strange is going to be the connecting the connector like he was in the last phase as well?
I think Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are going to be the two things that are going to sort of bring everything
Together?
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll wait and see. Lots and lots of stuff coming up for that, so we'll be able to talk more about it as things roll out. What do you think before we roll into tech support? What do you think the numbers for the streaming of Black Widow are going to be like? Do you think that's going to do well for Disney Plus's rollout, or do
I'm
you
not even
think
sure. Is it still? I thought it was just going on in theater. I'm pretty sure.
did they rescind that? I thought they.
I think so. I think
Really?
yeah, it might be just going back to theater again. I could be wrong about that, but I thought it got moved back to like a theater release.
Could
But
be. It's July because it comes out in July sometime, right?
yeah. Okay, so yeah, maybe they are gonna have a rental as well. It won't be free, but maybe
No.
I'm reading something that was made on March 24th. I don't. Yeah, Black Widow. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay, so $30 on July 9th on Disney Plus,
Okay, there you go.
or you can go to the theater. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's gonna do well. It's gonna do better than Mulan, which wasn't hard to do. What a failure that was.
I think that was more or less because the movie wasn't very good.
Yeah, I mean, I said that. Remember when we watched that fucking trailer? So
Oh,
the
it was
movie's gonna be
bad.
dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even. Did I watch it? I think I don't even know.
I
if I
unfortunately did.
I don't think I have watched it.
Yeah, it was not great.
Yeah.
It was not great. All right, now it's time to move on. Unless you got any other movie, TV, anything?
No, I don't have anything. It's been quiet.
Yeah, not much. So it's time for
Tech support.
Patreon.com/LAGTV. $10 more a month gets you a couple of perks, most of which right now boil down to watching us continue to do this podcast. And also ask us questions each and every week on a post that I put up before we start. It's called Tech Support, where we answer as many of these questions from you guys as we can. So let's do just that. Danish Devil. I already know. I already know the answer to this. Danish Devil asks, "What's the worst thing you've ever lost? How did you lose it, and did you get it back?" I already know what your answer's gonna be.
The worst thing I ever lost.
Yeah.
I mean, my virginity.
Well, that's okay. That's not what I was thinking. But all right. You definitely didn't get that back either.
I lost my wedding ring.
Yeah, that's definitely the one I thought about. Yeah.
And I'm 99% sure it's in my vent at my house I'm renting out. So like before I sell the house, I'm gonna get like a professional to like go down there and try and find it. But yeah, I lost my wedding ring. I basically had it. I almost guarantee. I even looked at the cameras on the outside of my house when I left to see if it was on my finger, and it wasn't. And at the time, for whatever reason, my finger was really itchy. It was like, I don't know if I was having an allergic reaction or I don't know what the fuck was going on. But anyway, I taken my ring off and put it on the little end table on the side. And when I did that, I'm pretty sure I hit it by accident or moved my laptop on there, and it slid off and went down inside the vents and like the air duct.
And that was the show.
Yeah, that was the show. So yeah.
I don't think I haven't lost a lot of. I mean, I've lost a lot of shit, but there hasn't been like a lot of particularly important things that I can think of that I lost. Like anyone with a pair of glasses, there have been a few times where I've gone an extended period without having any fucking sight. Because I've just misplaced my glasses and I'm like aimlessly wandering around the house looking for my glasses for hours on end. That's happened once or twice. Otherwise, okay, the chat's got some memes in here. Yep, left nut definitely got fucked up. That's true. Lost my mind long time ago. My hair, there you go. Yeah, lost my hair, and that's not coming back.
That ain't coming back.
That's not coming back.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. Let's see. Dan Jim asks, Volkswagen's ID4 was claimed the 2021 World Car of the Year. What are your takes on electric vehicles, and have you considered owning an electric vehicle in the foreseeable future?
The only vehicle that I ever considered getting that was electric was the Cybertruck.
Mm.
And unfortunately, it's still such a long ways away that I ended up just getting a different truck. So
Yeah.
I probably will. I may like when I finally decide to get like another family car. Like
Mm.
we've had Kayla's Civics since like 2015 or 2015, and it's still perfectly good. So like we're just gonna run that shit into the ground. So, but I mean, maybe in another 6-7 years, I might buy a Tesla for like the family car.
Shit, 6 or 7 years, who knows what other fucking electric vehicle options are going to be available
Yeah,
other than
exactly.
Tesla.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody will have some sort of electric car.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, not really interested. I like Rumble.
Um, I'm I'm hit or miss on them so far. Mostly because I don't know. I feel like there probably is, and probably is enough independent research to be able to compare them more directly, but um, electricity doesn't just come from fucking thin air. So I need to know, for the purposes of getting an electric vehicle, largely for me, center around, because gas vehicles have gotten so efficient now, it's kind of fucking whatever. So electric vehicles for me now are like, do I want to do my part to reduce emissions and whatnot, and go with that? So I'm sure there's some research. So before I'd go and buy an electric vehicle, I'd just look into, is me buying this electric vehicle really going to reduce my footprint, or am I just trading one thing for another because of battery disposal and battery building, as well as actually charging it with electricity that, depending on where you live, a lot of people are still getting electricity via coal in their areas. So am I really reducing my footprint, or am I just fucking running up my electric bill and swapping fossil fuel burning directly out of my car for something else? So I am interested. I like the idea of hybrids right now a lot. My car currently is a hybrid. Toyota put out the RAV4 Prime, which is a even more hybrid where you can go completely electric or completely gas or both, as in my car is. And that's intriguing, a little bit intriguing to me. It's a fucking wild car too. I mean, it's super expensive. I mean, it's like $55,000, $60,000. But it's a fucking RAV4 that goes 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds or some shit, because it's got a fucking electric motor strapped to the back of it. And you get like 900 miles or some shit combined with your gas and your electric. Not that anyone's going to be driving 900 miles and needs that, but all the same. So like it's definitely interesting. The hydrogen stuff is interesting to me too. I think the real challenge for me will be knowing, if the idea of consumer vehicles still being a thing for a lot of people as the population goes up versus mass public transit, is what kind of a change is it really making in terms of environmental impact? Because that's really the main driving force and that's what they're marketing, is we're making the environment better. And so people are going to buy it based on that. So for me, it's, are we really? And I think we're going to get more and more research for that and be able to make a more informed decision. But, am I against it? I'm neither for nor against, and I have a hybrid myself. Oh, geez, okay. Jorbog, probably a few. Jorbog, have either of you ever had a friend that you tried to talk out of making a really dumb decision? I know someone, he says, still in his 30s, that's half convinced they really need to take PEDs, so performance-enhancing drugs, slash HGH, so human growth hormone, because Joe Rogan plugs them in his podcast. Since he might be listening to the podcast, apparently his friend that he's discussing here, care to drop some wisdom? What about bad decisions or PEDs? Everyone's definitely talked at least one friend, or tried to talk one friend out of a fucking terrible, terrible choice, for sure. Jeff and I have individually tried to talk each other out of terrible decisions on more than one occasion, which happens when you know each other since you were 11 years old. Everyone makes some horrible fucking life choices once in a while. It's inevitable. And sometimes you need a friend to pull you out of the fucking, pull you off the brink, because you can't see through the trees, and to help you at least try to make an informed decision. It doesn't always work, but you got to try. You got to put the effort in, because if you don't, sometimes you have a good friend that's making horrible fucking choices, and they've got other friends, but nobody's actually nobody wants to be the friend that looks like the asshole that comes out and serves them up reality, right? And that's honestly the friends that you want to have more than your other friends, because it's nice to have yes men and yes women around you all the time. But then when a bad decision comes up and you have nothing but yes men and yes women, you're never going to get checked before you go ahead and make that terrible fucking decision. And so it's nice to have that be a thing. But so yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have. I can't think of specific examples, but it's a guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. It's what it's called, being a friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody has had either friend or a family member that sometimes they need a dose of reality instead of having yes men or yes women around them. Yeah, there's been many a times where I've tried to get my friends to not do things that I thought were stupid, but I mean, hey, everybody's their own person too, right? If your friend wants to take performance enhancing drugs, then that's on them. I mean, is it what might be considered dumb for you might not can be considered dumb for them. I know people that take steroids. They're perfectly fine people.
It's not like taking steroids makes you an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. But I don't like. I don't try and say, "Hey, bro, lay off the juice." That's just it. I mean, I guess if you're taking steroids and you're doing it properly and you're doing the right cycles and you're fucking, you know what? I guess you've educated yourself and you know the risks. I mean, it's the same thing as somebody smoking. It's not good for your health. But I'm not going to try and convince them to not smoke. I can say, hey, this stuff is going to kill you. Might not want to do that, but it's ultimately up to them if they want to do it or not, right? So, yeah, I mean, hey, you're being a good friend. You're looking out for your friend for his or her well-being, and you're trying to lay some knowledge down. And sometimes people need to go through something themselves, and just be a friend if things go bad. You don't need to say, hey, I told you so. Just, you can say that without saying it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with PEDs and whatnot, the line basically becomes make sure that, if they're going to do it, if they're going to do it, and just make sure that they go to a doctor.
Yeah. Make sure they're not, that they're medically are able to, that their body can withstand some of this, because, certain things will fuck up your hormones real bad, will fuck up your blood circulation. If you have any other underlying conditions, make sure they're not taking drugs and other mixing things. You gotta do it with a doctor, because if you don't, now you're being stupid. Like, if I was gonna say anything, if you're taking PEDs or HGH and you're not doing it with a physician to monitor your blood, you're doing blood tests regularly and keeping track of your levels and everything that can come with it, and the changes that your body can go through when you're cycling, that's when you're being stupid, and you should absolutely not do it. The only other thing that I would say to a friend, if they started taking HGH or PEDs, I just ask them why. Because most people, I doubt it's just because he heard Joe Rogan, who honestly, if I have to be fucking honest, Joe Rogan's getting fucking kookier and kookier as time goes on. Some of the shit coming out of his mouth is getting fucking crazy. So I listen to a show more now for just his guests, and then every time Joe opens his mouth, I turn my brain off and just wait until he's done talking, which thankfully isn't all that often when he has a guest on. It's one of his high points is that he lets his guest talk. But, if you're in your fucking 30s as a male, unless, what are you trying to do? You trying to be a bodybuilder? You're a professional athlete? You in the movie business? Or are you just not confident in yourself and you want to look better, right? That's 99% of people, is you just want to look better, or guys specifically. Not a lot of girls taking PEDs. There are girls take PEDs, but there are. They just take different types of PEDs.
Different types of PEDs. And they're usually athletes. I don't know very many women that aren't like Instagram fitness athletes that are taking peds.
There's this thing going on where there's a ton of men and women that suddenly wake up one morning and they've seen an Instagram post or whatever. They want to become bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Right. So they go through the motions. They realize how much hard work it is, and then they realize that everybody's on steroids. And so they
actually, a lot of people also still don't know they're on steroids, and they get upset when they don't get the results, right? Like they go and like Instagram exercises are 99% horseshit. None of them know what they're talking about, but they have great genetics already. And so all those people have to do, it's like every V-shred fucking thing you've ever seen as a YouTube ad pop up. That guy literally, and I'm serious, doesn't know what he's talking about, but he has incredible genetics that allows him to do minimal exercise and look the way he does. That's it. And because he's like that, he can literally tell you, yeah, I eat pizza and I don't eat salad all the time, and I look like this. And it's like, well, congratulations for winning the genetic lottery, but that's not how any of this works. And then people are like, fuck, why can't I look like that? And then they juice themselves out of their minds, and they don't realize as well that steroids don't magically make you fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, you have to work out.
And even if you eat right and take peds and work out really well, if your genetics suck, you're still not going to look like that.
Oh, no, yeah.
So be careful with the peds and especially HGH, because if you want to know what HGH does, I mean, look at The Rock's head in the early 2000s. Now look at The Rock's head. Look at Joe Rogan's fucking head a while ago.
Joe is pulsating as well. So yeah, no wonder your buddy wants to get on the juice like Joe. You know, Joe is all elk meat and HGH. He is,
dude. His head grew 4 to 5 sizes in the last like 10 years. Like the amount of HGH coursing through his fucking veins is unreal, absolutely unreal. So yeah, you're doing the right thing. You can't stop everyone from making bad choices, but at least if you sensibly bring it to their attention, be like, hey, I don't think it's a good idea. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs a friend to give them a little bit of, perspective, whether they agree with it or not, and then let them do their thing. And if he fucks up, he fucks up. If he's not doing it without a doctor, he's a fucking idiot. He should totally do it with a doctor. Dr. Samurai asks, which will happen first, Cyberpunk on the Switch or Cyberpunk back on the PS4 store?
Say that one more time.
Which will happen first, Cyberpunk on the Switch or Cyberpunk on the PS4 store? Making a comeback.
I'll go the PS4 store.
Yeah, it'll be the PS4 store. The meme would be the new updated Switch comes out and it ends up on the new updated Switch before it hits the PS4 store again. But probably the PS4 store. Dean Eves, I've been unfortunate enough to have the night shift at work for the past few weeks. Did you guys have any experience working the late night hours aside from streaming? I think streaming is the only thing that's ever, like, kept me up long hours other than, like, when I was in university or some shit doing that. But, like, I've never had a job that wasn't 9 to 5 or, like, I'd get into work at most to be, like, 8 o'clock at night or some shit.
So what? Ask the question again.
He said he's just asking, do you guys have any experience in working the late night hours outside of streaming?
I have, yeah. So yeah. I've done back shift at a grocery store, not as like a thing. I worked in an electronics section. So there were like a couple times a week where sometimes I would have the back shift where the trucks would come at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then we had to like stock everything up. So I wouldn't get home till like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Outside of that, no. Most of my jobs have been your standard, 9 to 5s, or you're off work at like 10 o'clock the latest. But the electronics thing was the only time I ever stayed up like at work past midnight. Unless I'm a streamer. So like, being a streamer, there's been many, many times over my career, I don't have many of them now, where I'd be up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But now since I have a family and stuff, like I just can't physically do that anymore. At least not consistently. So yeah. My wife did it for a long time. She used to do the back shift and stuff, but
yeah, because she was working the extended care home, and so there's a lot of back shifts that go on there. M's been on the back shift the majority of the pandemic. It just fucks you right up. It's not natural. Like if you do it for extended periods of time and not switch back and forth, it's less harmful. But if you're switching back and forth from day shift to night shift a lot, that properly fucks you up. So, yeah, it's no fun. Time Tricks asks, assuming that the price is decent, if a robot became available to buy that could do all of the cooking, cleaning, and stuff around the house, would you buy it? Asking because some people don't like robots and or aren't comfortable with them around.
I mean, I would definitely buy a robot that could do a lot of housework. I mean, I wouldn't want it to do everything.
Yeah.
But I'm sure my wife would appreciate a robot that would do the laundry and, take the garbage. Well, actually, I normally take the garbage out, but, just like more tedious stuff around the house that doesn't really need a human touch.
Yeah.
Like cooking food, I would want my wife to cook. I don't know how I'd feel about a robot making all my meals. But yeah, like doing the laundry or, the sweeping and the cleaning the pool out or whatever else shit around the house. Yeah, fuck yeah. Hell yeah, dude. If if it saves time, it saves money. So I'm definitely down. I wouldn't want it to talk to me and stuff. Like, I wouldn't want it to be like another person in the house. But if there was like a robot that just did those things, like you could just throw your clothes in a washer and then the washer was the robot and it kind of washed it and folded it and had it come out of a tray all nice and folded and fresh and ready to go. Man, I'm buying that. I'm spending that extra couple G's and to make sure we don't have to waste our time doing that anymore.
Would I? Maybe, probably not. I mean, it depends on the thing. Like Jeff, it would probably be like laundry, and general cleaning.
Yeah,
but the cooking and stuff, no, fuck that.
Yeah, that ain't it.
Theodore asks, Jeff, was your wedding as you imagined it? And Adam, how do you imagine yours? So, was your wedding as you imagined it?
Yeah, kinda. To be honest, I mean, I never really imagined my wedding until we started planning our wedding. So like even when, like I wasn't like, oh man, I have visioned my wedding like since I was 12 years old. I just never crossed my mind. Even when I proposed to Kayla, I knew I wasn't getting married anytime soon. And I didn't really think about like what it would be like or anything like that. It wasn't until like we actually started planning the venue and stuff where I started like,
dude,
piecing it together.
I just had a vicious fucking flashback of the day that you proposed to Kayla because you were here and we were planning it the day that it happened, and we had like 4 different options and every option failed. Yeah. And so we had to wing it at the very fucking end to come up with literally anything, and it ended up involving going down to the waterfront and some nondescript in front of what restaurant was it?
There was like a yacht down there, and then we were at
one bench.
Yeah, one bench, and we were beside some restaurant down there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That was it. That was the last one. Hail Mary.
Adam was like, you got to hurry up, man. Like I was like, bro, it's getting late. Like, it's cold.
Because the first idea was like this super elaborate thing that you and I worked on for like 2.5, 3 hours to come up with like this really elaborate, very romantic. It was going to be much more flower. And then it was just so funny because at the end of the night, it just boiled down to like,
just get it done. Just fucking, just ask her already. What are you doing? Like, and then we went to karaoke. We were like, all right, we'll do it at karaoke. And then there was like nobody there except for like,
it was just so bland.
It was awful. It was awful, dude. It was awful.
But that's what made it memorable. It was kind of fucking hilarious. Yes. How do I imagine it? Like Jeff, I haven't sat down and really thought hard and long about my wedding. Honestly, if I'm gonna be real, I fucking hate weddings. They're for the family more than they're for the couple. and it just serves as a giant money sink to put yourself mildly in debt before you go on and spend the most expensive part of your entire adult life, which is buying a home and filling it full of shit and getting ready for a family. So, Em and I both have the same, we're on the same page. We don't want a big one. It'll be small with only a couple of our closest friends. It's not going to be 60, 70, 80 fucking people. It's going to be, small, a couple of us. Mom will probably be the one doing the marrying because she's an ordained minister. So Mom will be the minister, so I won't have to go chase one of those down. And fucking la-di-da, off to the races. There will be a more elaborate one at some point when we go back to the Philippines, for example, because they do weddings fucking ridiculous over there. And if you don't invite people over there, it's like you're fucking disowned for life. So, but I won't have to worry about that. Somebody else will I'll just show up. I'll be the one white dude within a fucking 500-mile radius. I'll walk in, I'll do my thing, I'll wave at people, I'll learn like 4 fucking words in Bisaya, fail miserably at saying all of them, and then go home. And that'll be it. But yeah, there's no big massive wedding. We both have the same idea. We both want to prioritize a house and shit like that, and spending like 15 grand, 10 grand on a wedding is just...
That ain't it.
It's a bad idea.
I think I don't even know. I don't even remember how much we spent, but our wedding was very inexpensive.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
very inexpensive.
It just almost caught. It just.
But
it was nice.
I've spent as much money on mine and Kayla's ring than I did the wedding.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I can recommend this. Don't actually live stream your wedding. I've never been so tired and strung out in my life. We made it happen. There's a lot of people that watched it, but don't do it. Let's get one more question here because I got to take Em to work and I still have to go upstairs and get her dinner and shit. Let's see. Some of you guys still have questions here. You can send them in next week as well if you thought it was a great question. Logan asks, if you could re-experience something again for the first time, what would that be? Not video games, as I think that's been asked before, which is true. He has asked about that before. If you could experience something... I'm going to be super corny, Jeff, after talking about weddings. I want to go back in time and experience love for the first time. You know, that junior high school age, your first major fucking love is a different feel from everyone that comes after. It doesn't feel the same afterwards. I can say that having been like that close to marrying my high school girlfriend. It all hits different after the first one because they're first, for better or worse. It hits different. And that was definitely, that's the trick. That's the trick, to go back and experience that bad boy again. Because you don't have any experience before. It's one of those things where it's cornily done in movies where you're like, what is this feeling that I'm feeling? Because you like, if you're young enough, you legitimately can't quite figure out what the fuck is going on, and then you realize what it is, and now you know, and it's a unique experience.
I would go the birth of a child.
There you go.
Pretty amazing.
That might replace my option eventually in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely unlike anything ever. It's like an out of body experience.
Literally, mostly because you haven't slept in 24 hours and your wife is screaming bloody murder as she's trying to fire a child across the room, or in your case, get cut wide open and then you accidentally get a peek over top the curtain and regret that choice.
Yeah, that part I wish I could burn out of my memory. Everything else was fine.
Do you ever just wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night having a dream?
Not quite, but I can visualize it whenever I think about it, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Like it's I've never been near somebody that's been murdered before, but that's close as what I could imagine it would look like. It's intense.
Gives you a new respect for doctors, does it not?
Yes. They see some shit.
They see some shit, right? Yeah. And it's funny because they don't even think about it. They just talk normally, like they're having casual conversation, and they're just slicing and dicing some shit in front. And it's also casual. And then all it takes for the average person is to get a peek over top the curtain, and all of a sudden you're passed out on the floor.
That's it. The show.
Speaking of that's the show, that's the last of it for this week's Technical Alpha VTuber podcast. Maybe next week my webcam will continue. That was the weirdest fucking thing. It literally worked when I turned OBS on, and as soon as I turned it back over to the podcast, just stopped working. But maybe we'll be back next week. Well, we will be back next week. Maybe the webcam will be back next week. But until we see you then, stay safe out there, everyone. And thank you once again for stopping by. Continue to support us for as long as you can, because we'll keep cranking these bad boys out. And until then, peace!
Peace.